There are no seats for the poor.
Michelle, my son's mill, stood blocking the path between the bride and groom. The bride, Emily, seemed utterly perplexed by her mother's actions. So were we. I exchanged looks with my son, Alex. Today was Alex and Emily's wedding day. It was supposed to be their big day, yet somehow Michelle ended up running the show. I looked at Michelle. She looked down on me and Alex. Well, if that's how it is, there's nothing we can do.
Shall we head out?
Yay. We decided to leave the venue. I could hear Emily pleading with Michelle. Michelle didn't think she's in the wrong. She thought it was our fault that we were poor and single mother families. But I disagree. What's so criminal about being a single mother family? And what's inferior about it? I'll show Michelle. The seriousness of raising my son alone. My name is Lily Tanner. I'm 50 years old. I was blessed with my son, Alex, at the age of 25. But my husband passed away in a car accident shortly after Alex was born, leaving for heaven. For the past 25 years, I've raised and supported Alex on my own. I never remarried. I've been tirelessly working part-time jobs. All the hardships were about to finally pay off.
I've got a girlfriend. I want you to meet her.
Those words were such a relief to me. However, Alex's engagement brought new turmoil into our household.
How much does Alex make a year?
The first words were not a greeting, but a question. It was a luxurious mansion. I was surprised by how comfortable the chairs were when Emily and her mother appeared.
Well,
as Alex hesitantly disclosed his salary, Michelle snorted arrogantly.
Is that all?
Mom, stop it.
Emily frowned. I must have had a similar expression. How rude, was my honest opinion of Michelle.
Thank you for coming today,
Emily said, trying to mend the atmosphere.
I've brewed some tea. It's my favorite tea.
Please stop it, Emily. It's not like these people would know the difference anyway.
Mom.
Emily's face fell. Sitting opposite Emily, Alex spoke up.
Maybe I can't tell the difference in taste, but I'd like to hear what Emily has to say.
Alex, thank you.
A smile finally appeared on Emily's face. Michelle looked on at their exchange with evident displeasure. She seemed unhappy with Emily and Alex's relationship.
May I have a moment?
What is it? Michelle gestured for me to follow her to another room. She didn't want to make Emily any more uncomfortable. That meant the upcoming conversation was bound to be unpleasant.
What kind of nerve do you have?
Excuse me.
Your son, what nerve does he have, approaching my daughter with such a low income?
Michelle raised her voice hysterically. I was speechless. Alex graduated from a top university and works at a decent company. And that's where he met Emily. Meaning, in terms of income, they were compatible. In such a situation, she was only criticizing Alex.
The heir to this house is her brother, so she will eventually leave and marry into another family.
So are you dissatisfied because your daughter will become our family?
Of course.
Michelle was red-faced with excitement.
I had a detective investigate. You're a single mother family, aren't you?
And what of it? I tilted my head. I've never felt inferior about being a single mother family. Sure, there were days when I came home late. Maybe I made Alex feel lonely at times. But as a result, Alex grew up to be a good person.
I'll protect you for all the hardships we've faced.
I'll never forget him saying that to me at the high school graduation ceremony. True to his word, Alex worked hard. He went to university on scholarships, always kept his grades at the top. After he graduated, he got a job at his current company and repaid his student loans on his own. I'm proud of my son. Being insulted like this, I couldn't stay silent. With all due respect.
Let me guess, you irresponsibly had a child, and the man ran off. How shameful.
Well, you really have a terrible imagination, I said, barely containing my anger. Michelle's brows furrowed.
What did you say?
Why can you only imagine such lowly things? What's going on in your head is far worse.
I will not allow you to mock my wife any further.
A low, growling voice interrupted. Looking up, I saw a middle-aged man standing at the entrance of the room, glaring at us.
David,
Michelle exclaimed, rushing to the man. He gave a sloppy smile and embraced Michelle. It appeared this man was Michelle's husband. Michelle wore a triumphant smile. She was clearly believing that being married made her superior.
listen to this, dear.
Yes, I understand.
The man replied saccharinely to his wife, then looked hard at us.
If you continue to insult my wife, I will have to call a lawyer.
But it was her who started berating my son unprovoked. I protested. It was futile. The man, completely henpecked, regarded me as an enemy.
So, someone like you is going to be part of my daughter's family. Emily has no judgment.
Yes, indeed.
The couple looked down on Alex and me together. As I was at a loss for words, footsteps approached.
Stop it, both of you.
Emily,
I thought it was strange that you suddenly disappeared, so I came looking.
Alex spoke with a voice strained with anger.
Emily, I'm sorry. We're leaving for today.
Alex.
Emily looked down sadly. Alex momentarily showed a look of reluctance, but quickly composed himself.
Let's go, Mom.
Sure. Alex began to lead me away. Michelle's voice called out from behind us.
never come back to our house again.
As if I would. Emily did nothing wrong. It was her parents who were pitiable for putting her in such a difficult position. Yet, I couldn't bring myself to forgive them. What should I do? Is it okay to just watch over Alex and Emily's relationship? Hey, Alex.
I have no intention of breaking up with Emily.
He said, as if reading my thoughts. His eyes looked down, filled with a sense of apology.
I really do love Emily.
I see. His words and expression made up my mind. I'll support your relationship."
Mom, thank you.
He must have expected me to oppose. Alex broke into a smile, and his happiness was contagious. I found myself smiling too. I've been quietly observing Alex and Emily's relationship. Since then, we haven't seen Emily's parents. Emily avoided the topic when she visited our home, engaging in different conversations instead. Alex inevitably led our conversation. They made sure to include me in their world. I appreciate it deeply.
Mom, we're talking about the wedding venue.
Wedding venue? What about it? I was puzzled, and the two exchanged looks.
Come on, Mom. We just talked about Emily and my wedding.
What? Your wedding? I couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. So you two are finally getting married.
Despite our parents' objections. But it's our life,
Emily said, her expression a mix of emotions. Yet determination underpinned her words. It seemed she had chosen to walk through life with Alex. As a mother, could there be anything more gratifying? I'm fond of Emily too. If she's willing to stand by Alex as his wife, nothing could be more reassuring. Tears welled up in my eyes. Alex noticed and was startled.
Are you okay, Mom?
Oh no, I'm sorry. I know it's too early to cry, but I hastily wiped away my tears. Emily offered me a handkerchief. It's adorned with a pattern of light blue clovers on a white background.
You are my Mill.
So you'll call me that. Thank you. I was overwhelmed with joy. To have such a kind son and deal was a blessing. But this feeling of happiness was about to be shattered. Starting with the wedding reception, a nightmare's beginning. I stopped, puzzled. Looking around the venue, I couldn't find my seat anywhere. After making a full circle, it was clear there was no seat for me. Wondering if it was a mistake by the venue staff, I approached the staff at the venue. "Excuse me.
Are you still here?"
It wasn't a staff member who responded, but Michelle. Her arms crossed and smirking smugly.
"Why don't you take a hint? This wedding is very important to the Minton family."
Michelle said so with a condescending tone. Indeed, she had taken over arranging the entire ceremony. All the plans Emily had made were dismissed, and Alex's opinions were ignored.
Mom, hold on, wait.
Emily and Alex, unable to stand by any longer, came over. Michelle inserted herself between them, standing protectively like a mother shielding her child, right between the bride and groom. Then she said those words.
"There are no seats for the poor."
I see, that's the reason. So, Michelle never intended to provide a seat for me from the start. Realization dawned on me, accompanied by a sense of emptiness.
Shall we go?
Yay. Alex took my hand, and we began to walk away unsteadily. Emily seemed to be pleading with her mother, but Michelle remained indifferent. And so, the nightmare of a wedding came to an end. As we got into the car, Alex's smartphone rang. It was Emily.
Are you both okay?
Yay, sorry for leaving you alone there.
It's not your fault. It's my parents to blame.
Emily's voice was clearly downcast. Alex must have wanted to stay by her side. I looked up and said, "You should stay with Emily.
But what about you, Mom?
I can make it home on my own." I tried to remember how to smile, but my expression remained strained.
I am sorry, Mom.
After hesitating, Alex decided to return to the venue. Driving home, I pondered, what's so wrong with being a single mother family? Michelle had mentioned using a detective. Then, she must have investigated Alex as well. She doesn't understand a thing about my son. But maybe that's for the best. With that thought, I caught myself. What was I planning to do? It's obvious, isn't it? To retaliate against that hateful woman. I had all the cards I needed. Michelle had only paid attention to what suited her, oblivious to the rest. That's why she is unaware. Waiting at home for Alex to return. He came back with Emily.
I'm sorry about my parents.
It's all right. I had regained my composure. Seeing my calm demeanor, they both seemed relieved. Exchanging relieved glances, I told them, "Alex, I'll contact Grandpa."
What? Are you calling my grandpa?
Alex's smile vanished, and Emily tilted her head in confusion.
What's wrong?
My grandfather is the president of Dale Corporation.
Oh, really?
Emily seemed to grasp the situation. She said with her expression one of alarm,
Is there no other way?
"We've reached our limit," I said, almost moaning. My Phil, John, promised me, after my husband passed away, that he would solve any problem if we ever faced one. That's right. On the day my husband never returned from an accident.
Shall we take Alex in? It must be hard with just a woman's hand.
John had offered, but I shook my head. I will raise Alex on my own.
Okay, I got it.
In that case, John made a promise to me. And now the moment to fulfill that promise had arrived.
My father was meant to inherit Dale Corporation.
Alex said, looking down.
I had no idea you came from such a distinguished lineage.
I'm sorry for keeping it a secret, but I hated the idea of being evaluated because of my family's background.
I understand that, but I wish you had told me.
Emily's voice was filled with sadness. It was understandable. Dale Corporation is a globally renowned conglomerate. Because Michelle made an enemy of someone with such a powerful backing. The Minton family will be over. The retaliation began immediately.
My parents' clients seem to be pulling away from us one after another.
Is that so? I nodded, unsurprised. Since then, Emily had only returned home once to collect her belongings, and had stayed away from her parents' house. She's been living with us. She's been helping out with household chores within her capacity. But the figure she cut was far from that of a blissful new bride. Emily was caught between her family and her new home. The strain was undeniable. Alex, noticing her exhaustion, worried about her constantly. He would bring home her favorite sweets after his work and made sure to listen to her feelings whenever possible.
If this continues, my family will end up destitute.
There's nothing we can do. I sighed back at her tearful plea. John accepted me, despite our differences in family background and education, as his son's wife. It was a gift of trust and love for his child, accepting all his choices.
That's...
Emily struggled to find the right words. Emily's parents criticized a single-mother family. They looked down on Alex as unworthy of joining their family lineage. But what's the reality?
That poor-looking man is the grandson of a major corporation's president. You must be joking.
Shouldn't we apologize to them now?
Don't be stupid.
What Emily heard from her parents during her brief return home to collect her belongings was such an exchange. Since that was the only time she went back, she didn't know how their conversation turned out afterward.
My mom isn't the type to apologize to anyone.
I guess so. Some people only feel fulfilled in life by looking down on others. What a petty existence. It's a pity, too.
What about suggesting your family apologize?
That's impossible. Or rather, it would be meaningless. Doing that would just make my mom more stubborn.
What a troublesome person.
Alex was exasperated. Emily looked down and shook her head too. It seemed there was no solution for them to break through this situation. Nor did I have one. Or rather, I didn't even intend to stop it. The Minton family was intoxicated with power. They looked down on others. They didn't hesitate to crush those around them. And now, by misjudging who to look down upon, they found themselves on the side being looked down upon. It was only a matter of time before they were crushed by the very power they revered. What would they do now? If they are as capable as they boasted, they'll find a way out on their own.
Lily.
Emily finally broke down in tears.
Mom, that's enough. It's time to talk to Grandpa.
It was when Alex began to speak. Then Emily's smartphone rang. She looked up. She wiped her tears and checked the notification. Her eyes widened.
It's from my mom.
Go ahead and answer. They must have their side of the story.
Okay.
Encouraged by me, Emily obediently answered the phone. A loud voice could be heard even on our end.
You traitor, running away as soon as the family is in danger. Aren't you ashamed?
I'm not running away.
Emily seemed a bit offended. That's probably right. She's not running from anyone. She's facing reality, both yesterday and today. While she worries about her family home, she chooses to stay with us. Not to appease us, but to stop me. Emily's tone became firmer.
Mom, do you see now? This is what happens when you judge people superficially.
Don't speak as if you understand.
Michelle's voice was filled with rage. In contrast, Emily remained calm. Perhaps her struggles had given her a clarity of vision.
Why did you have to be so cruel? I wanted my new family to get along. But Mom, you couldn't do that.
That woman is not worthy of our family.
Michelle had narrowed her disdain solely to me. I bit my lip. Yes, it was me. I was born into an ordinary family with neither impressive education nor looks. Yet, someone accepted me, loved me, saying I was enough. He was an heir, and at first, I was hesitant. But eventually, we were drawn to each other and decided to marry.
You won't regret it, right?
That's all John asked.
How could I?
That was my husband's response, a face I'll never forget. His warm, dependable profile, promising to protect me. However, my husband's promise did not last long. Leaving for heaven alone, my beloved. Tell Michelle.
What should I convey?
Shaking off my self-mockery, I spoke in my usual tone. To give you a chance. What a proposition I was making. I couldn't even tell what expression I was wearing. I myself wasn't aware. John will come, and you can directly argue that this treatment is unjust.
As you wish.
It seemed my voice reached without Emily's intervention. Michelle, summoning her last bit of defiance, retorted.
To get upset over such trivial matters and oppose us.
It may be trivial. I pondered. It didn't bother me to be the focus of attacks and insults. But what about Alex, with such a character for his mill? When would he start receiving poor treatment as well? This wasn't about pride. This was a mother's battle to worry for and protect my child. Michelle didn't seem to understand that. What began as a direct confrontation turned out quite pitiful.
I'm sorry.
For what exactly are you apologizing?
Upon entering, Michelle's husband immediately apologized. John, seated comfortably on the sofa, observed the couple. Michelle looked down on her husband with disdain.
You.
Boy, you should apologize, too. This is entirely our fault.
Michelle's husband began to sob. I stood beside John. Alex and Emily were not allowed to be present. John deemed it too harsh a scene for them to witness.
Entirely.
My father-in-law's eyebrows twitched.
Explain specifically. What did you do, and what was wrong with it?
Well,
Michelle's husband fell silent, seemingly unable to answer the question. Not surprising. They didn't truly believe they were in the wrong. They were just apologizing to appease John, waiting for the storm to pass. Like children scolded by a teacher.
So you apologized to us without knowing what you did wrong.
that is, well,
Michelle's husband looked troubled, turning to his wife. Michelle managed a strained smile.
The misunderstanding about not preparing a seat for Miss Tanner, right? We are truly sorry.
A misunderstanding. I raised my voice. I remember clearly. You told me there are no seats for the poor.
What are you talking about?
Michelle feigned ignorance, her face a picture of confusion. I was dumbfounded. With John present, Michelle tried to pretend as if the inconvenient truth had never happened. How dreadful you are.
You're the one with a persecution complex. Stop slandering us.
That's enough.
John said, clearly fed up.
So you claim it was all a misunderstanding.
Of course,
Michelle answered immediately. There was hope in those eyes. If she could convince John, they would win. But the next moment, my Phil was furious.
How long do you intend to lie? I have confirmed your actions not only with the newlyweds, but with everyone present at the venue.
Everyone, that's impossible.
The light faded from Michelle's eyes, and she collapsed on the spot.
Please, do something.
She clung to her husband, but he was only crying. Facing the pathetic couple, John said,
If you had sincerely apologized for your rudeness, I could have forgiven you. But what did you do? Nothing but lies for self-preservation. I'm speechless with disgust.
Your son picked such a boring woman, right? Michelle yelled in defiance.
Weren't you frustrated that such a woman became your son's wife?
Do you hate Lily that much?
John's expression turned to one of pity. Michelle exclaimed loudly.
Yes, I couldn't stand her. That's why I was mean to her. For just that, why must I face such consequences?
Because your way of thinking is incompatible with mine.
John's voice was advisory, seeking to impart wisdom.
I wanted to understand who Lily was.
He said, looking at me. I was straightening up. John had an aura of an enlightened sage.
My son wouldn't choose a strange woman. So, I thought, this woman must have her charms. I wanted to discover those charms by talking to her.
What a waste of time.
Michelle scoffed, but John remained calm.
Lily is kind and hardworking. She has raised our grandson commendably on her own. My son's judgment was not mistaken.
That makes sense.
Michelle's husband seized the opportunity to curry favor with John. He seemed to be looking for a chance to seek forgiveness.
My wife is completely different. She lacks judgment in people. That's why she targeted Lily and Alex.
You are cowardly.
What?
Michelle's husband was taken aback. John's face slightly frowned.
Do you intend to push all the blame onto your wife? Firstly, you're also at fault for choosing a woman without judgment.
That is.
That's enough.
Michelle shouted. Everyone's gaze shifted towards her. Michelle twisted her lips.
President, you just want to side with Lily, don't you?
That would be obvious.
John nodded.
If that's the case, talking is pointless.
I agree.
John nodded again, and Michelle had already turned on her heel.
Let's go. It's useless to say anything more. From here on, we'll have to figure out how to rebuild the company on our own.
Don't talk like it's easy. With the president's pressure, all our clients have left.
Her husband's feeble attitude seemed to displease Michelle. Michelle said with a voice tinged with irritation,
Then we'll find new clients.
It won't be that easy.
Her husband also exited the room, dragged along by Michelle's resolve. Left behind, I sighed. Thank you, John.
No need for thanks.
John shook his head leisurely. And so, he spoke as if to impress upon me.
You earned my trust through your actions and strength, and they, through their actions, have earned my disappointment.
Yes. John hadn't sided with me unconditionally. It was trust in me that prompted his support. Meaning, If I were to stray from the right path, he wouldn't help me anymore. I will remember this, John. I thanked him. The downfall of Michelle and her husband was relayed through Emily. Emily has been staying with us, and since then, we've started receiving communications from Michelle.
Emily, come back home now. You need to help with our business.
No, Mom, I'm not coming back.
Emily's resolve was evident in her eyes.
I understand what you want, Mom. You want me married into a well-off family, right?
This child is.
It seems she hit the nail on the head, I thought, hearing Michelle's grumbling voice through the phone. Let me talk to her.
Are you sure?
It's fine, I assured her with a gentle smile. And Emily handed me the smartphone. Hello, Michelle.
How dare you speak to me like that?
I'm not enjoying this conversation either, I replied, deciding it was time to settle things with Michelle once and for all. Also out of concern for Emily, I made an effort to speak in a calm voice. I've decided to forget about your meanness.
What?
Her baffled response came through. I continued. I don't want to be involved with you any longer. That's why I'm choosing to forget you. Hating someone is exhausting and brings me no benefit.
Don't give me that noble talk.
Michelle snarled like a carnivore.
I won't forget you. I'll hold a grudge against you for life.
Her voice made me understand why John hadn't accepted Michelle's apology. It was a chilling voice. Goodbye then.
Give me back my daughter.
Emily is now Alex's wife and has taken the Tanner surname.
I'll make them divorce right now.
I informed her. That's impossible, knowing she should be aware of this fact. Emily is pregnant with our son's child.
What?
Michelle fell silent. She isn't sure how to respond. After a pause, she spoke. Her voice is trembling.
Please, give me back my daughter. I don't care about the baby.
Are you still saying that? I sighed. Looking at Emily, she gently caressed her barely noticeable belly. Could she possibly think of abandoning her unborn child to return to her parental home? There's no way Emily would do that. How could a mother not understand this? Do you intend to separate Emily from her child?
If she has a child, she won't find another place to marry into.
Michelle selfishly remarked. It was evident that Michelle intended to use Emily for their convenience. Please don't involve yourself with Emily anymore.
I'm her mother.
Michelle's voice, though weak, was stubborn.
Give her back.
Don't be unreasonable. I'm hanging up now.
Hold on, she's pregnant. That must be a lie. She couldn't possibly.
Michelle was panicking.
Let me talk to her again.
I'll talk to Mom.
Emily intervened, seeing the distressful situation. Despite being a delicate time for her, she was determined to speak to her mother. Reluctantly, I handed over the smartphone.
Hi, Mom.
Emily, it's a lie, right? That woman is lying, isn't she?
Mom, it's all true.
Emily's voice was calm yet firm.
I'm going to be a mother here. So I can't meet your expectations. And please don't call anymore.
Her voice carried a certain force. Michelle groaned, troubled. And soon her voice became muffled. She seemed crying.
Emily, please, we have no other way. Our home will be ruined. Then Dad and I will have nowhere to go. We've been abandoned by relatives. What should we do?
Thinking of a solution is what adults do. Handing back the phone, I added, "You brought this upon yourself." Michelle had to take responsibility as an adult for despising me and Alex simply because we were a single mother family. She had to face the consequences.
Wait.
Her voice was desperate, but I silently ended the call. Despite persistent calls, Emily, with a resigned look, turned off her smartphone. John was delighted with Emily's pregnancy.
I want to be part of that child's family this time.
Please, feel free to visit our home.
Alex proudly responded. Due to the growing family, we decided to move to a new home next spring. Although it's a bit far from the station and inconvenient, it has a spacious garden. We're excited about starting a vegetable garden and growing flowers through the seasons. Since then, Michelle has become significantly quieter. Occasionally, Emily's father contacts her, but it seems his messages are mostly cries about the failing company and grievances against Michelle.
My dad always blames others. I wish he would be more responsible.
Yay, he's going to be this child's grandfather after all.
Alex said with a laugh. Emily also smiled. Watching their affectionate interaction filled me with contentment. Life in the new home has been smooth. I've quit my job to focus on household duties. Emily continued to work until her pregnancy was well advanced, but now she's on maternity leave, staying at home. The baby born was a girl.
Mary, it's such nice weather today, isn't it? The flowers are beautiful too.
Emily cooed, and the baby in her arms smiled back. The girl named Mary looks like her father.
Which do you like more, Mary, the flowers, or Mom?
She smiles at both.
Well, she's happy because her mom is beautiful.
Alex joked, making Emily laugh. Let me hold her too.
Here you go.
I took my granddaughter Mary into my arms. She was newly born, a tiny life. Yet, I could feel her substantial weight in my arms. You're such a good girl.
Yes, thanks to you.
Emily's smile had evolved from its once carefree nature to one endowed with the intelligence of a mother.
John is coming over for the winter break.
Oh, then we need to start preparing. I handed Mary back to Emily and stood up.
I'll help too.
Thank you. Let's see, until the break we have. I glanced at the calendar. It was filled with various entries. Plans for the family, notes related to work. It felt like a testament to the passage of time that had flowed by.